issue?
My Lords, I declare my position as Vice President of the LGA and the NALC. Now, my noble friend Baroness Jones of Moulscombe focused on housing and planning-related issues in the bill. I'm going to look at its overall purpose. Now, we've had pretty well universal agreement around your Lordship's house that we want levelling up. And there are, of course, many things where we desperately need to see improvements in areas of the country generally regarded as left behind. Levels of public health is perhaps the most notable area. As the explanatory note reports, people living in the most deprived communities in England live up to 18 years less of their life in good general health than the least deprived. But the fact is that the level of public health is terrible everywhere in the country. Our obesogenic food system, our long working hours, our commuting times and terrible public transport, our poor quality of housing, our levels of stress and insecurity, there is no model community that we can be aiming up towards. We've got to change it all. Now, we're talking about improvements, and what is actually better? No one, I'm sure, is going to argue with more education or more educational opportunities. But we have in the notes discussion of ensuring 90% of primary school pupils achieve the expected levels of reading, writing and maths. That means more teaching to the test, more drilling and drilling and drilling to pass tests. That's not education. Are we going to hear about a restoration of adult education? The opportunities for people to get a second chance if the system failed them the first time? Or just because they want to learn something new? The chance to learn a language or make a pot. That might lead to a new career, a new small business. Or it might just lead to a richer life. And what about an explosion of forest schools for the youngest pupils so they can benefit from the physical and mental gains to be had from time in nature? Now, there's a profound irony attached to the term levelling up. Levelling up is generally assumed to be becoming like London, which is pretty strange when all the talk is of local placemaking, local control, local culture, local environments. Yet the basic aim, it appears, is to be like London. This is not a good aim. And I'm just going to cite one piece of evidence here, leaning on the work of Andrew Oswald, Professor of Economics and Behavioural Science at the University of Warwick. And he points to Office of National Statistic figures on happiness, the level of reported happiness on a 0 to 10 scale. In Hackney, it's 7.21. In Kensington, it's 7.17. Yet in the North East as a whole, it's 7.37. In the city of Newcastle, 7.49. In the North West, 7.43. Now, equivalent patterns are found for life satisfaction and cited worthwhileness of life across that regional divide. So the difference between Newcastle and Kensington, the way in which Newcastle is better, is 0.3 points. And to put that into context, the average loss when people lose a job is 0.4 points. So, as the professor says, this is a challenge to conventional views of the levelling up agenda. If the goal as set out in the bill is for the cities in the North and Midlands to be as productive as London and the South East, and we're told UK GDP could be boosted by around £180 billion, and how much more miserable might they be if they're following in the direction of being like Kensington and Chelsea? Now, it's traditional in the second reading to refer to planned amendments, so I'm now going to switch to gallop speed and cover some points. First of all, the right to nature, and I'd associate myself with remarks from the noble Lady Baroness Parmenter and the noble Lord Randall of Uxbridge. My noble friend Caroline Lucas is championing, as I did in the Environment Bill, a right to roam in England like that enjoyed in Scotland. What a potential boost to so many communities to have access to green space. Second, there's the quality of the nature around us in cities and rural areas, a good in its own right, but also crucial for human health. If you walk along the Sheffield and Tinsley Canal and then walk along Regent's Canal in London and compare the difference. Thirdly, the issue of land contamination and Zane's Law, which I've raised previously about contaminated historic landfill sites, and the Local Government Association Coastal Special Interest Group has just produced a report stressing how much of a problem this is. And finally, small business space. I was speaking last week to Sue Langley, founder of the pioneering Blue Patch Sustainable Business Directory, about the sheer waste of endless empty shops. Absentee landlords, where this bill crosses over with the Financial Services and Markets Bill, mean the shops sit there. They need to be opened up to small local businesses, to cooperatives, to local communities, to use that space, their space, to recover our town centres.
My Lords, to my mind,